From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website right now is spacedoutradio.co. If you want to listen and check it out, we got the SOR Space Travelers Club open for business. The SOR Vault, get some t-shirts done, open for business. We Read the Night, open for business. And of course, Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, which is updated daily. Tonight's show is brought to you by Mighty Moose Beard Oil Company. It's 100% Canadian, 100% natural, taking care of beards around the world. Visit MightyMooseBeard.com. Use promo code SOR2019 today. All right, we're going to get into some serious discussion here about a topic that I absolutely love. We're talking time travel tonight. Author C.R. Barry is out of the United Kingdom, and he has a real penchant for mystery and conspiracy with a big love for time travel. Though it seems like a past life, he started out in a courtroom badgering witnesses and shouting objection. Eventually, he decided to turn his back on the law and start writing and getting creative. He has some of the best thrillers you can find on the book market. His new trilogy of novels is called Million Eyes. We are going to get into that. There is a bunch of short stories in there that will blow your mind, and we're going to have some fun with this tonight. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. C.R. Barry, all the way from the United Kingdom. Hope you got your great hat on tonight, because we know you can't grow a beard. But welcome to Spaced Out Radio.
Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you for having me back.
It's been a couple of years since we had you on, and I remember that we had such a fun time the last time you were on the show, because you're the type of person who has a mind that is always thinking, kind of like Tom Clancy versus Dan Brown in the Da Vinci Code. It's absolutely thrilling to have that type of thought process going on a daily basis. How do you do it?
I don't know. I think I've always been a bit of a thinker, I suppose, and a chatterbox, to be honest. Like, I don't know if it's always thinking or just talking. I have my friends say this to me a lot lately, that I talk a lot, and I do seem to remember that our last chat. I don't really know. It was quite ironic that we were talking about time travel last time as well, because I don't know what happened to the time. So yeah, I once I start talking, I just can't seem to stop. So you might have to be my control, my button.
Well, what's the love about time travel? What excites you about it?
I think it was growing up watching lots of Star Trek and lots of Doctor Who. I was a big fan of both, particularly Star Trek, and there's lots of really good time travel stories in both those shows. And I think it's how complicated it can be, and I like the paradoxes, and I like changing history and then seeing the effects of those changes in the future. It's that kind of thing. And then I mean, time travel is really, really big at the moment. There's been so many movies and TV shows that have appeared particularly over the last few years. And I'm just reveling in it because there's so many good stories out there. And I think it's because I would call myself quite a plot-driven writer. And time travel stories are generally very plot driven. They're quite complicated and can be quite convoluted at times, and I just love that. I think sometimes it can go too far, but I mean, who doesn't love a bit of far-fetched storytelling? I mean, Back to the Future, that is my favourite movie trilogy
mine too.
Of all time. And I mean, it's really silly, like at the heart of it. And some of the time travel elements of it and the time travel rules don't really work, but you don't care, because it's such a good movie. All three of them are really good movies. My favourite's actually the second one. I think particularly with all the future scenes at the start. But yeah, it's so good. It's so good. There's a lot of really good ones out there. The Butterfly Effect is another favourite of mine. The Ashton Kutcher film. That was quite dark, that film. But yeah, again, so good. And that's really interesting in that's all about making little changes to your own personal timeline and seeing how big an effect those changes have. So yeah, there's lots of good ones out there, and they seem to span lots of different genres. That's another thing I like about time travel, and the reason I like writing about time travel is that it transcends genre, I think. So you get lots of, I mean, fundamentally time travel is a sci-fi concept, but it pops up in romance fiction and fantasy and thrillers. So it's not just sci-fi that you see time travel in. You see it in all kinds of stories. It's a very useful and very interesting plot device. So,
well, one of the things that I have a big interest in, and I don't know whether to believe it or not, I want to believe, but I do want to believe that, maybe it's my love for Back to the Future as well and the trilogy there, but I do want to believe that there are some sort of time travelers, as long as they're not, T-100 Terminators. That's all that I ask. Even though the way AI is growing, you never know if that's going to start happening very, very soon. And I refuse to hang out with anybody named Sarah Connor. But nonetheless, we do have to look at the idea that we do believe, or we do have people out there who believe that they have time traveled, whether it's to the future, whether it's to the past, whether it's traveled to outer space, to the far limits, and gone to Mars and elsewhere with some sort of secret space program. There's a lot of people out there who are trying to sell that this is going on. What do you think about those out there who say they are actual time travelers?
Well, funnily enough, because I write for a website called the Time Travel Nexus, and for a while I was doing a column called Time Travel Nexus Investigates, and I was looking into some of the most famous claims made by alleged time travelers, and there are a lot, particularly in the last few years, I'm finding, and I looked at some of the claims that have been popping up all over the internet, and they seem to all hinge on one particular YouTube site. They're called Apex TV, and they seem to have amassed quite a following with all these videos of purported time travelers with their faces obscured and their voices obscured. They've got that funny machine that makes their voices really deep, and they sit there and they say that they're from, I don't know, a few decades in the future, and they've come back to warn us about all kinds of disasters that are going to happen. And these videos have been getting hundreds of thousands and if not millions of views. So it seems to have really taken off. It's become a bit of a trend, time travel, or YouTube time travelers. So I did a little bit of digging into some of these claims, and I think the ones that a lot of the ones you see on this particular channel are, I think, nonsense. I mean, they're fun, and Apex TV are very. They don't say whether they're a joke channel or a hoax channel. They just say that these videos these people are coming to them and they're just trying to be objective about it and just posting their story. But there's no way that's true. They're in on the joke, I think. I mean, it's entertaining, but there's one time traveler that they've had on several times called Noah, and they posted a video with him that was a lie detector video, and the lie detector itself was a joke. It wasn't a real device. I think I looked into that, and you can get something very similar on Amazon, and it's a toy basically. But they also weren't using it properly, because with lie detectors, as far as I'm aware, we don't really have them in this country. Well, unless you're watching Jeremy Kyle, they have them a lot on there. But you're supposed to ask questions where the answer is yes or no, I believe, and then it tests your physiological reactions. And they were asking questions on this particular video that weren't yes or no answers. And then they were just measuring them as true or false, and that's not how lie detectors work. So I saw that video, and then I thought, okay, this is all a bit dodgy, really. But those claims aside, there are some that I've looked into. There's one called the Charlie Chaplin Time Traveler. Have you heard of that one?
Yes.
So that one I love that one, and that is the subject of one of the short stories in the collection we'll talk about shortly. But that is a video. It was a DVD extra, and it was spotted by a filmmaker called George Clark. And it's just this woman walking in the background of some footage of the premiere of a Charlie Chaplin film, The Circus, and she's holding a mobile phone, or what looks like a mobile phone. And that, even for me, I'm very skeptical, and I have to have evidence before I believe something. But that one stumps me. I still don't really know what's going on in that clip, because there have been theories about what she might have been holding. George Clark, in his video that he posted on YouTube, and it was a massive sensation, and that's why the story got picked up and is a bit of a quite a famous time travel urban legend now. But he believes that it's a phone, and lots of people believe it's a phone. But some people have argued that it may have been a hearing aid that she was holding, and because there were hearing aids that were being released around the time that look a little bit like smartphones. They're sort of the same size and shape, but she's. One, I don't know who she'd be listening to, because she's just walking along the street. She's not with anybody. She's just walking in the background on her own. So why she'd have it to her ear and be listening to it, I don't know. But also, you can see that she's talking to it. And I would have thought, if it's a hearing aid, you don't talk to the device. I mean, some people have said, well, maybe she was testing out her own voice and if she could hear herself or something, but it's that one is a bit weird. There's a few like that I'm like, I'm really not sure.
Yeah, there's one that doesn't make sense to me, and that is the man of the photograph taken on the Gold Bridge. You know, he's wearing what looks to be a Mondetta sweater with the rimmed glasses, with the covers on the sides. It really didn't come out until the 1980s. and I remember looking at that because I live about an hour and a half from the Gold Bridge. And it's in the middle of nowhere. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's a real stupid place for a time traveler to go because literally it's not even in a populous area. It doesn't make any sense. I don't buy that one. I want to, but I don't believe it. But there are all these little scenarios, like you said, with the Charlie Chaplin video, or there's the video of the lady who looks like she's speaking on another cell phone where they're walking out of a factory. Have you seen that one?
I have seen that one. Yes, I think that one is odd. That one pops up sometimes when the Charlie Chaplin time traveler is talked about. I've seen that one in some articles as well.
So when we look at these alleged time travelers, do you believe they are, or do you believe that they're just doing something that would be normal at the time that we don't understand?
Yeah, I with the Charlie Chaplin time traveler, I don't know. I mean, I think if time travel did really exist, I feel like there would be a lot more evidence, perhaps. Well, actually, I don't know, because I suppose time travelers aren't going to want to draw attention to themselves, and some of these cases might just be that they've accidentally been picked up in photographs and in videos, and they've been noticed by people, but they're trying to keep a low profile. It was Stephen Hawking that always said that if time travel is real or could ever be real, where are all the tourists from the future? So I think that was one of his famous quotes about time travel, and that it is a very good point. But I suppose there are all these cases. A lot of them have been debunked, but there are still some where there's a question mark over them. Do I believe that they're time travelers? I don't know. They could be. Like I said, the Charlie Chaplin time traveler is one that I really don't quite understand. The time traveling hipster, the one you just mentioned, that is one that I wrote about. And while I love that photo, because you look at it and you think, what? Because he's just stood there and he's in really casual clothes, he's in sunglasses, and everybody else is in these typical 1940s suits and looking very formal and everything. But people have investigated this, and the clothing he's wearing isn't actually, it's not actually out of time, as people suggest. Like the top he's wearing is it looks like the logo of a hockey league that was around at the time, a hockey team, the Montreal Maroons.
Yes.
So it could well be that, and then his sunglasses as well. That somebody posted a picture of a woman in very similar sunglasses, because people were saying that these weren't around at the time either, but they may have been an unusual fashion choice. But it's not like they didn't exist. So yeah, so it is an interesting one. And I love that photo, but I think that's considered widely debunked, that one, as are a lot of them.
I got to ask you, in regards to today's time travelers, people have come out like Andrew Bashago, or we have others that have come out as well, saying that they have gone back in time, and this is the evidence that we see. How do we know they aren't telling the truth? It's easy to debunk the story because it is so unbelievable. But how do we know this actually isn't going on?
Well, I suppose a lot of the time they shoot themselves in the foot by making predictions about the future that then don't come true. So some of the ones I've written about, that's been their undoing. Have you heard of John Titor?
Yeah, John Titor. Yeah,
Titor. Yeah, he's quite a famous one, but he made a load of claims that haven't then come true. So, of course, you could then argue, well, maybe he just was predicting a possible timeline, or some people have argued that John Titor actually was successful in his mission. He came back in time to avert a civil war in America, and he was successful, and it didn't happen. So it's not that his predictions aren't true. His predictions didn't come true because he changed time. So that's quite an interesting story. But yeah, it's very difficult to disprove them. But they need to provide decent evidence, and I think that's where some of them come unstuck.
Well, I mean, you look at the John Titor incident. We only got about 90 seconds before we go to break. I mean, he made all of these bold predictions. Some came true, very few, but they were pretty obvious. You know, I mean, but the majority, you can easily say, any so-called time traveler, even if you're making it up, can easily say, well, that happened on a different timeline because we changed something on this timeline. It's such a BS excuse. But in in reality, it is plausible. Yeah.
I mean, there's still lots of. I mean, I wouldn't be the right person to get into all the science of it, but I seem to remember that there has been talk of time travel to the past. I think potentially being possible in the future. But time travel to the future, I think. The scientific consensus is that will never be possible, or something. So I think that's one of the reasons I find it so fascinating. It's one of those what if scenarios. I think another reason I love time travel is that I'm quite nostalgic about the past. So the idea that I could go back and visit it again is awesome. And if time travel were ever invented, I'd love to use it to go back to my uni days or something, or check up on certain things that I may or may not have done.
Mr. Barry, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Author C.R. Barry is our guest tonight. Oh, we're going to get into time travel seriously. We're going to pick up the woo right after this on Spaced Out Radio.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know little brother is watching.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Thiemer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rockin'. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you will be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docuseries featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and Bigfoot in the forest. Truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Richard Dolan, as well as others all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page. Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Reminder to all of you, our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can sign up to become an SOR space traveler as of right now. You can also do a little shopping at our SOR Vault store. Also, we have some great authors that we've set up a section called We Read the Night. You can get their books right there by clicking on them. And Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire updated daily. Tonight we are talking with author C.R. Berry. He's got a new series coming out called Million Eyes, and it's all about weird, strange time travel stories. C.R., welcome back to the show.
Hello.
Got to ask you, you ever met a time traveler?
I have not yet. Well, I not that I know of. I mean, if they're all keeping a low profile, we could have both met many, but not. I've not met one that's admitted it to me. I'd love to meet one though. That would be a fascinating conversation. So yeah.
It totally would be. I mean, like, how would you even know if you met one? Because unless they're going to take you to their DeLorean,
well,
you really don't know. But I mean, the fascination that people have with this subject, and the fascination that everybody kind of wants to believe this. Well, when I mean everybody, I mean almost everybody. You know. Is it that far out of the realm of science when we hear of people, say, involved with the military, saying that the technology that we have is already very, very old compared to what the militaries around the world are hiding? We have, we believe there's already hypersonic speed, with certain types of aircraft. We hear all of this type of technology that is growing. Is time travel there? Is time travel one of them? Considering, I know a lot of scientists who would love to work on something like this. Yeah.
I mean, who knows what the governments of the world are hiding from us? We know that they hide a lot of stuff from us. So they could well have the technology. That is I suppose that is the central premise of Million Eyes, that there is a mysterious and powerful group hiding the fact that that time travel has been invented already, and it was invented a while ago and is being used. That's at the heart of the series.
Tell us about Million Eyes. Why was this such an important trilogy for you to do?
Well, it's been in progress for a lot of years, and it came to me because of my love of time travel, but also because of my love of conspiracy theories, and history as well. I'm a big fan of history. That's one of the things I love about Doctor Who. When the Doctor goes back in time to all these famous historical events, and I love all of that. So it's a combination of those two things, and I think I started writing it about a decade ago. So it's been a long road to publication, and it's finally coming out. The novel is coming out in January of next year. So I'm hoping to come back and I can talk to you a bit more about the novel itself. The ebook comes out in January, and then the paperback comes out in March next year, and it's being released by a independent publisher called Elsewhen Press. So I signed my first book deal with them back in April. They are a speculative fiction publisher, so they do all kinds of speculative fiction. So they have like alternate history novels, as well as sci-fi, as well as fantasy. They cover all of that. So. And they're a really good publisher. It's going really, really well so far. And the other thing that I was keen to talk to you about was they have published, and I can announce this now tonight. They have published a short story collection called Million Eyes Extra Time. And this is actually available now, and it can be downloaded for free. And it is essentially a compilation of short stories set in the same universe as the novel. Many of these have been published already. There's 3 brand new ones in the collection. And most of them are inspired by conspiracy theories and urban legends, and some of the time travel urban legends that we've mentioned. There is a story called The Charlie Chaplin Time Traveller, and George Clark, the filmmaker who stumbled upon the footage, he's the central character in that story. And I wrote the story, and then I got in contact with him, and I ended up doing an interview with him on my blog, and he loved it. And I hadn't actually I wrote the story, and then I ended up making contact with him, and he said that I got so many things right from around the time he found the footage and everything that he thought it was a bit weird. So there's that, and the point of the stories is to give you a little bit of an introduction into the Million Eyes world, and it introduces the antagonists that take central stage in the novel, and it focuses on lots of side characters that either don't appear in the novel at all or are just supporting characters in the novel. And yeah, it gives you a little bit more insight into the world and the mysterious group of time travelers that my protagonists in the novel are trying to hunt down. And the concepts of it, the central idea is that what if time travel exists? And what if it's existed for a while? What if it was invented decades ago and is being covered up, and it's being used by a very powerful and very secretive organization? And that's what my 2 main characters in the novel stumble upon. And in the short stories, that's what various different characters, they're finding out little bits and pieces about this conspiracy, this vast conspiracy that's been going back centuries. So time travel was invented by this group of people a few decades ago. However, the organization itself goes back much, much further than that. And you find out a lot more about this organization as the books continue. So I'm actually working on the sequel at the moment, which I'm hoping will be released sort of a year after the first novel. And I've got the third one all planned out as well. So So yeah, they're a complicated set of books to write, the complicated stories, but that's what I love. I think it's how complex time travel is, and as I say, all the paradoxes, and I love all that. I revel in that.
Now, even though this is a fiction book, you tend to take a lot of real life scenarios to draw a lot of what ifs, and I gotta say, you know, it's made me think a little bit, because you and I have talked about this, and it totally makes me think, could this really be going on? Could there be time travelers from the future coming back to change what happens in the future? Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you about two what if events that are dealt with in the short story collection. So one of them is the Loch Ness Monster. Now the Loch Ness Monster is this story goes back to the 30s. That's when it actually goes back further than that. There are certain people that have linked really, really historic references to the Loch Ness Monster. But then the first main sighting happened in 1933, I believe. And it was a guy called George Spicer, and he was driving along the road that goes along Loch Ness, and he and his wife spotted this huge creature just sort of going across the road, and they couldn't see its entire body, but they could see its long neck, and they could see what they thought was a giant tail, and it was just sort of galumphing across the road. And then sort of disappeared into the undergrowth, and this was the first big sighting that sort of sparked all of the stories about the Loch Ness Monster, and then lots of the famous photographs, but some of which have been debunked as hoaxes. One of the most famous photographs was actually a hoax, and it was somebody who just stuck a plastic head in the water. But there are lots and lots of questions still that surround Loch Ness and whatever may or may not be under the water. There's been investigations that have yielded some strange results, strange sounds under the water, and I think there was a fishing boat that was being chased at quite some depth, and they were observing sonar readings of this object under the water, and eventually they lost contact with it, but they never really established what it was, and then other sounds that have been recorded that it's been argued they don't sound anything like any other aquatic animal. So there's something, or there certainly was, that the sightings and everything have died down a bit now, but there was definitely something there. And there was another story I read about Loch Ness, and that was to do with a potential time slip. And it was a man and a woman who they were in the Loch Ness area in the mid-18th century, and they were travelling in a horse and cart, and they just disappeared. And local people wondered if they'd been kidnapped or they'd been attacked and killed by outlaws and then thrown into the lake. But then a few hundred years later, a man and a woman walked into a local almshouse to seek refuge from a storm. And the people who met them noticed that they were wearing old-fashioned clothing and looked really confused, didn't know where they'd come from, and then they disappeared again a few days later. So that people have read about that story and decided, well, maybe that was a time slip. Their old-fashioned clothes, maybe they were the same couple, the ones that disappeared in the mid-18th century. So I read about that, and then I thought, oh, what if the Loch Ness Monster herself was a time traveler? And because people have theorized as to what this creature might be, and lots of people have decided, well, with all the descriptions, all the sightings, it sounds like a dinosaur. And maybe it is actually a dinosaur. Some people have said that it's a dinosaur, a plesiosaur, so a water-dwelling dinosaur that has survived the extinction of the dinosaurs. But I think that perhaps it's more likely, because, I mean, if it survived the extinction, like, where are all the others? How is it there on its own? And if the plesiosaurs, this particular species, survived, why did the sightings only start in 1933? So it actually, when you look at it like that, it's actually almost more likely that this creature time traveled from the Cretaceous to now, to the 20th century.
Would that be by DeLorean or by phone booth?
I don't think it would have fit into a DeLorean. Yeah, I think Doc Brown would have to have been... Well, actually, at the end of Back to the Future 3, he invented a time-traveling train, didn't he? So maybe he's gone up in the world. Maybe he's got some kind of giant time-travel machine now. But yeah, so that one fascinated me, and I thought I could write a story about that, and that has ended up the plot of one of the stories in Million Eyes Extra Time. It's called Operation Loch Ness, and it's about this idea that Nessie was a time traveler, and that other time travel events have happened in the vicinity of Loch Ness, and why that might have happened. Why are people shifting back and forth in time in the Loch Ness area? So that's the idea for that story. And then the other one that I think we did talk about last time I was on is Rudolph Fentz. Have you heard of Rudolph Fentz?
No, fill me in.
So this is a strange one. This is considered a bit of an urban legend, and some people say it's been debunked, and others say actually no, there's still a question hanging over this one. And this is a guy who in 1950 turned up in the middle of Times Square, and he was really disoriented. He looked like he'd never seen a car before. And he didn't seem to understand the way traffic lights worked, and then he ran out in front of a taxi and was killed. And then when his body was searched, they noticed that, well, firstly, his clothing was really old-fashioned. It seemed to be straight out of the 19th century. He also had all these old banknotes in his pocket, and a bill from a stable for washing a carriage and feeding a horse. And none of these items seem to be very old. So this police captain did some investigations. There was some business cards on this guy as well, with the name Rudolph Fentz. So that's how they got his name. And this police captain, Captain Hubert V. Rim, he investigated, tracked down Rudolph Fentz's daughter-in-law, and she said that her husband's father went missing in 1876. He just went out for a walk and he just vanished. And Captain Rim checked missing persons records for 1876, and he found that there was an entry for a Rudolph fence matching the description of the man who'd been run over in Times Square. So so a bit like there's quite a few of these sort of time slip cases, people that have just inadvertently travelled in time, supposedly, because that seems to be what's happened to this guy. He just popped up in Times Square, but didn't really know what had happened or where he was. And this story sort of caught on and was it was an urban legend that circulated around the paranormal community for a few decades, I think, from around the 70s onwards. And in the early 21st century, there was this researcher who decided to have a look into this and see whether it held any water. And he traced the story back to this paranormal journal, the Journal of Borderland Research. And it had this journal has lots of UFO sightings and those kinds of stories, and they published the Rudolph Fence story as a factual report. And then he tried to find out where this journal had got the story from, and eventually he was led back to a fictional short story called I'm Scared, which was written by Jack Finney, and this is the guy who did Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And I'm Scared was a short story that was published in Collier's magazine in 1951, and Rudolph Fence and Captain Rim, who's a character in the story. This is just one of the time travel events that's referenced in the story. So the story is like a compilation of stories of people in the New York City area who have been having mysterious time travel experiences, and Rudolph Fence is one of them. And this is and Captain Rim. He's the sort of the character who sits down with the unnamed narrator and tells him all about Rudolph Fence. So this researcher decided, so it's actually a fictional story. That's where it came from, and somebody picked up this story and thought it was real, or deliberately sort of promoted it as fact, and then it started getting reprinted as a factual report and started spreading from there. So. And that would essentially be that. However, there have then since been reports, since this researcher published his findings, there's been reports that in 2007, another researcher working for the Berlin News Archive discovered something that throws doubt on this story as for I'm Scared being the true origin of the story. And this person, I can't seem to find who this person is, or where exactly this evidence comes from. Obviously that throws up question marks, but this researcher apparently found a newspaper article about Rudolph Fence and his death in Times Square. And this article was published before the short story by Jack Finney.
Incredible. CR, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We're going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Author C.R. Barry. We're talking time travel, strange incidents, occurrences. Are they happening? Are they here? More with C.R. Barry right after this.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Themer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio, where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
We're bringing you something new to the documentary world. Beyond the Spectrum will take you on an historic tour of topics like no other. Sasquatch, UFOs, government secrecy, and more, keeping you on the edge of your seats through the eyes of legendary truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Richard Dolan, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and Jack Kasher. Head on over to Amazon Prime or Tubi TV and check us out. Please leave a comment for the filmmakers on their film's Amazon page.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot THAL. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. We want to say hello to everyone listening in on KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, WQEE 99.1 FM in Newnan, Georgia, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, and KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas. On the digital side, hi to everyone listening in on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Don't forget, you can check out our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Palumbakius, I apologize. Palumbakius is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. You can find those definitions, too, soon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Apparently, they do have meaning. All right. We also want to say you got to give a new look to our website, spacedoutradio.co right now, not .com. We're going to be transferring it over this weekend. So .co. Hey, we've got our store with some great-looking product on there. Great T-shirts, coffee mugs, hoodies, you name it, we got it. Go shopping. Get your logo on there tonight. Yeah, tonight's a good night to do it. Why not? If not tomorrow. Also, you can sign up for the SOR Space Travelers Club, $5 a month, and we read the night. We got some great authors on there that they have some great books. We want you to go support them as well. You can get it right on the site. Don't forget to read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire as well. Tonight we are talking with author C.R. Berry. Time travel is a topic. He's got a great trilogy out, Million Eyes. It's coming out in January, and I'm looking forward to this because this is such a fun series. Anytime we get to talk time travel, it always geeks me up a little bit because I want to believe this is happening, even if we don't know. What do you think about the idea of time travelers really on this planet right now, from the future, from the past, maybe from another world? C.R. Berry, how are you, my friend?
I'm good.
You want to finish up a story here?
Well, yeah. So I was talking about the Rudolph Fentz urban legend. I got to the twist in the tale at the end. It had kind of been debunked by this researcher, and then somebody had found evidence that an article about the guy was published before the short story, about 5 months before. And I don't know how much evidence there is for that, and I tried to look a bit further into it. I couldn't find anything, but I do like that twist because it throws up some interesting possibilities. And the question is the I'm Scared short story perhaps part of a elaborate cover up, and it's a work of fiction disguising something that really happened. So I quite like that idea that somebody has put out a fictional short story to cover up something that really happened and pretend that it didn't. And that's the central idea behind another of the short stories in Million Eyes Extra Time. So it's called Who is Rudolph Fentz? This is one of the ones, like Operation Loch Ness, both of these were previously published. And yeah, so there's a lot of these kinds of events in the collection. So yeah, but you were saying about the really wanting to believe that time travelers are here and that this is happening, and I don't know. Do you really want that to be the case? Like, what if they have heinous motives? What if they're it depends what they're doing.
Well, I got to give a shout out to Mid-Atlantic here, who sent me this long story, and I haven't had a chance to read it yet, and I promise you I will. Okay, about an article that he or she, found on supersoldiertalk.com about the Terminator timeline. I mean, this is just freaky. I mean, you know, like we said off the show, I'm not hanging out with anybody named Sarah Connor. I'll hang out with people named Samantha or Shayla or Stuart or whoever, but I won't hang out with anybody named Sarah Connor. That's for sure.
No. I mean, this. Have you read the article? Because I'm not sure if this person is talking about the Terminator films, or the idea that Terminators are really gonna. Because we were discussing just before the show started the potential for real Terminators one day, and with the development of AI, the idea of Skynet and AI becoming sentient and potentially taking over the world doesn't seem as far outside of reality nowadays as perhaps it did when Terminator came out in the 80s.
All right, and I got a question from Moon Joey here. He's part of Team Stump. Appreciate that. He says, with the advent of intriguing possibilities revealed in quantum science with photon experiments, how does retrocasualty come into play in your time travel beliefs, and how do you feel it affects the grandfather paradox?
How does retrocasualty?
Yeah, or causality, pardon me. I probably read that wrong.
Okay.
Causality. Retrocausality.
I'm not entirely sure what he's asking. The grandfather paradox is one that I understand the paradox, but most time travel stories they kind of sidestep it. They kind of ignore it because I'm assuming you're familiar with the grandfather paradox and how that works.
I am not familiar with it. Please fill me in.
So the grandfather paradox is essentially if time travel is real, and you can change history. What if you go back in time and you kill your own grandfather? That then means that your grandfather won't have your your father, and then you won't be born. Essentially, if you go back in time and kill your own grandfather, you won't be born. The paradox is that, but if you're never born, you can never go back in time in the first place and then kill your grandfather. So you're in this strange cycle. I suppose the first part of the grandfather paradox was kind of handled in the plot of Back to the Future 1, but they didn't deal with the paradox of so Marty was actually disappearing because he was no longer existing because his parents weren't. So it wasn't literally killing his grandfather or his father. Because I suppose it could work with his father as well. But his parents didn't get together and he started disappearing. But they didn't handle the paradox question of, but if he disappears, then how could he have altered the past in the first place? And most time travel stories don't kind of go there, I think. And the way I handle it in my own writing is that I think when a time traveler goes back in time and they alter the past so that the future they've come from essentially no longer exists. It doesn't mean they stop existing because they are now outside of that time frame. So because you can't continue telling the story if everybody disappears when they go back in time, and that's one of the things that doesn't really work about Back to the Future. The fact that Marty sort of slowly starts disappearing. The thing is, if you have that rule that you disappear if you change your own timeline, then Marty should have disappeared the moment he pushed his father out of the path of that car, because that was what ultimately got his parents together. And the moment he does that, he should have disappeared straight away, but he didn't. Looper is another film where they tried to do this whole, if you go back in time and you alter your own timeline, it will affect you, the time traveler. Have you seen Looper?
No, I have not.
That's a very, very good film. It's a Bruce Willis film, and but there's a character that travels back from the future, and his younger self is apprehended and by time travelers, and they start lopping off his limbs. And this is they're now changing the past, and then the future version of him, the one that's traveled back in time, he starts losing all his limbs, and his fingers, he starts having wounds from where his limbs have been amputated. And it's like, but that doesn't really work, because why is he still there? Like if his whole timeline has been changed by the fact that his younger self has been apprehended and tortured, then he never would have come back in the first place. So I think the way you get around it is that your future self, once they come back in time and they alter the past, they are then free from those changes. The changes to their past selves cannot impact them, because it just doesn't really work. Their whole timeline would change so that they wouldn't come back in the first place. I don't know if I'm making any sense, at this point. This is where time travel starts getting really complicated. And it's a bit of a mind bender. But again, this is one of the things I love geeking out about.
Couple questions here from our audience. Nick is asking, Mr. Barry, have you heard of the man from Taured? If so, what is your opinion on him?
The man from Taured?
Taured? Yeah, Taured.
Taured. haven't actually at all. That's nothing to do with the. No, that's not what I thought it was. No, I haven't. Have you?
Okay. This is a story about a strange man who appeared at the customs counter of O'Hare International Airport in Chicago, carries a passport, driver's license, papers. All of it looks legit. Just one thing that causes customs agents to raise the alarm. The passport and license are from a country that does not or has never existed.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Brian Alaspa is the author of the book on this.
Right. Okay. It sounds a little bit similar to the Andrew Carlson story, although that one was debunked in the end. But that was, I mean, it's a bit different. The details are a bit different, but that's an alleged time traveler who came back from the future and had all this information about the stock market, and basically committed fraud, and then was caught for it. And when he was being interviewed by the police, he said that he'd come from the future and he had knowledge of the stock market. So he was sort of he was using that knowledge to make money. And then he disappeared a short while after that. I think they let him out on bail, and then he vanished. But that ultimately was a story that originated in like a satirical magazine, like many of these time travel claims do. So I don't know where this one came from. Do you know where this one comes from at all?
A gentleman named Brian Alaspa is the author of the book. He's done a lot of work on paranormal as well. Ghosts of St. Louis, Darkness Falls, The Sleep Experiment. Lots of interesting tales.
So this person is presumably a purported time traveler then, who has come. So he was at an airport, did you say?
Yeah, at Chicago O'Hare.
Right, okay. And, it sounds like he didn't necessarily know he'd come from the future. I mean, that's what I assume, if it's a city that doesn't exist yet or something.
All right, let's move on here. Gail's question is, Google shows the same pic for John Teeter and the time traveler on the Gold Bridge in British Columbia. Do you believe John Teeter was the man on the bridge?
I suspect that's just mixing up your time travel claims, because I don't think there was ever a picture of John Teeter. He was just posting on various threads his predictions, but the time traveler on the bridge, we talked about that earlier. I think that one's sort of widely debunked. I love the image, but I don't believe that guy was a time traveler. I think he just had an unusual fashion sense for the time. And John Teeter himself, I've done a little bit of research into him, and I don't buy his claims at all. I mean, I think that one's widely considered to be a hoax. They haven't found exactly who. Nobody's come forward and said they're responsible, but I think it has been linked to a couple of guys. I can't remember now. But yeah, I think that one's widely regarded as a hoax.
Do you believe in some of the fantasy scenarios that are out there that time travelers have come back to murder famous people?
As to whether I believe that's happened, I don't know, but that is where my imagination takes me. That's where my imagination took me with Million Eyes. The some of the events in Million Eyes, that's exactly what happens. These time travelers are. So this is in the novel, that the time travelers are chasing after something that will damage them in the future, and in order to get this mysterious item back, it's a book that pops up in the very first chapter, and it's a book that's very clearly out of time. It's actually, you can see the book on the cover for Million Eyes. The book is this really dry textbook called the History of Computer-Aided Timetabling for Railway Systems, and it first pops up in 1100 when there were no computers, no railways, and these characters in history, they have managed to get hold of this book, and they know that it's a very strange item. They don't understand what it all means, and you find this book is not as it seems, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but this is what the time travelers in Million Eyes are trying to get back. And as a result of that, they come back in time, and they end up causing certain events in our history, and at points that involves murdering famous people. So the concept behind Million Eyes is what if time travel is real? What if history could be changed? And what if history has already been changed? What if the timeline we're living in is the altered one? One of the events in the book, and this isn't a spoiler because it's mentioned in the blurb on the back of the book, is Princess Diana's death. So her death happens because of these time travelers. So the what if scenario is what if Princess Diana was murdered by time travelers? And I don't think anybody has necessarily linked Diana's death with time travelers that I know of. I think I may be the first one, but it does use all of the unanswered questions that surround Princess Diana's death, and it just links them all into this big time travel conspiracy. So yeah, that is the central concept for the book, that time travelers have gone back in time, and they have offed certain people that are causing them a problem in the present.
Do you believe that's possible? Do you believe that is happening today, though? Because, let's face it, there's been an insurmountable amount of famous people who have died under mysterious circumstances that just cannot be explained, as we got about a minute and a bit here to go.
Yeah. It's certainly possible. I mean, I'm a firm believer that cover-ups do happen, and conspiracies happen, and we can talk about this after the break, but one of the two events two very famous conspiracy theories that form the plot of one of the short stories in Million Eyes Extra Time are Marilyn Monroe and JFK. Their deaths, a year apart, they died, and there are big unanswered questions surrounding both of them. And is it possible that they were murdered by a time traveler or time travelers? It's very possible. And that is the concept behind that particular short story. It's called The Babushka Lady.
All right. Well, so I'm going to get you to hold on right there, CR. We're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. More of your questions about time travel coming on up with CR Barry next on Spaced Out Radio.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today. We're bringing you something new to the documentary world. Beyond the Spectrum will take you on an historic tour of topics like no other. Sasquatch, UFOs, government secrecy, and more, keeping you on the edge of your seats through the eyes of legendary truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Richard Dolan, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and Jack Kasher. Head on over to Amazon Prime or Tubi TV and check us out. Please leave a comment for the filmmakers on their film's Amazon page.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Thiemer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot THAL, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, BUMBLEFOOT.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything is an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, hanging out with all of you from the frozen Canadian tundra. I was splitting firewood before the show. That's how cold it is. But I think I got enough wood to last the winter to keep me warm. Even though it's kind of cold in the studio, my feet are freezing tonight. I know that means nothing to all of you, but to me, it means a lot because my feet are cold. Yes, I have socks on. It's a rarity. I have socks on. Hey, I want to remind all of you that our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website right now is spacedoutradio.co. We're going to be transferring it over to the .com later on the weekend. And you know what? We got some cool stuff on there right now. You can sign up for the SOR Space Travelers Club. Go shopping at the SOR Vault. I see a lot of the conversation around there about the Team Stump t-shirts. And, of course, We Read the Night, where we have some authors there who have some books for sale. Go check them on out. You can buy them right there on Amazon right there. And read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire as well. C.R. Barry is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. He's an author out of the United Kingdom, great conspiracy time travel author, and we are into it tonight. We were talking right before the break, CR, about famous people who may have been murdered by time travelers on this timeline in nonfiction. Do you really think it's happened out there?
I mean, if I'm totally honest, I don't. Well, it's a very difficult question because do I believe that there have been time travel cases that are potentially real? Yeah, I think there are some time travel claims that have been made that are still not resolved. As to whether anybody's been murdered by a time traveler, I'd like to think that is possible, because it's just it's a fascinating idea. Like, why would they be doing it? What would be their reason for coming back and offing a famous person? Is it because that person has done something in the future that they need to correct, or that they need to change? Does this person cause some kind of calamity that needs to be reversed? That kind of thing. This is why I love time travel. It's the idea of changing history to make the future better, or to fix something that's going wrong. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to some questions here. Trip is asking, how can one go back in time? Doesn't going back undo the time machine, its settings, and turning it on?
I suppose that's a little bit like the grandfather paradox that we were talking about before. Once you go back in time, you're going back across your own timeline. So I guess that this person means that you're undoing the time machine. You've gone back in time to a time when the time machine doesn't exist. So how does that work? But I mean, if you worry too much about that rule, then nobody would be able to tell a time travel story. I think that's the thing with time travel. It doesn't ultimately make a lot of sense. And lots of the time travel stories that we all love, if you sit down and think about them too much, then they may sort of fall apart at the seams. Some of the really famous ones that I talked about, Back to the Future and Looper, their particular rule with having characters disappear or change once they alter their own timeline, that doesn't really hang together. And there's probably lots of other examples. There's that paradox at the center of the Terminator films and the Planet of the Apes films, which is Skynet. With Terminator, Skynet essentially brings itself into existence because they use the chip from the original Terminator that goes back in time as the basis for the Skynet technology. So what on earth came first, the chicken or the egg? It's that kind of paradox.
It really is. Let's do a follow-up from Trip here, who is asking, what are your thoughts then when Stephen Hawking held the time traveler party and nobody showed up?
Oh yeah. I heard about that. Well, I suppose with some of the time travel claims that we've talked about, these people, well, apart from all the ones that show up on YouTube and give all their predictions and stuff, a lot of the others, they're trying to stay under the radar. I mean, the Charlie Chaplin time traveler, if this really was a time traveler, then she perhaps did not know that she was being filmed, and she probably wouldn't have got her phone out if she did. But I mean, some of the claims, these people are trying to stay hidden, and they're just getting caught out at various points. So I think that's probably why nobody turned up at the party. Because if a time traveler is coming back to do something specific, to make a certain change, or perhaps just to observe something, because that could be the only reason they come back. They want to find something out that will assist them in the present. They want to verify something about history, perhaps. They're not going to want to draw attention to themselves, because I imagine if time travel is real, or is one day going to be real, there's got to be rules. You can't just go back in time and mess stuff up. You've got to be very careful, and you can't just turn up at Stephen Hawking's party for time travelers, and that totally gives the game away. So that would be what I would say.
All right, let's get to Gail's question here, and she is asking, she has a parent question. She goes, could time travelers be responsible for the Mandela effect?
You'll have to enlighten me. What's the Mandela effect?
That's where people say that they don't remember certain things being the way they are now. For instance, the Coca-Cola logo, the Ford logo, Berenstein Bears, Nelson. It's named after Nelson Mandela, where many people believed in the late 80s, early 90s that he had died, and then all of a sudden he wasn't dead and became, president of South Africa. Just weird timeline stuff.
Yeah, that's really, really interesting, actually. I've not heard of this before, but this person who's just asked this question has given me a potential idea for another short story that could be worked into the Million Eyes universe. So one of the characters in Million Eyes Extra Time, the short story collection, is a temporal sensitive, or somebody who is sensitive to changes in the timeline. That could be what's happening with these people. They're having memories of alternate timelines, which is a fascinating idea. And the story I'm talking about is called Rachel Can See, and it centers on a character called Rachel Evans, and she is one of these sensitives who is having memories of a different timeline, and it starts off with really kind of innocuous things that she's remembering differently, and then she starts remembering some very big events differently. So she remembers, actually I'm not going to tell you because that would be spoilers, but there's certain big events that she remembers differently, and eventually the mysterious group of time travelers that takes center stage in the novel, they get wind of the fact that she seems to know stuff about what they have or haven't done, because they're traveling in time, they're making changes to the timeline, and now they've got somebody who is basically shining a light on what they're doing, because she is remembering a timeline before they made any changes. So they have to take action, essentially. They have to find out what's going on here. I won't tell you any more than that, because we'd be in spoiler territory. But that could be it could well be time travel, that people are having false memories. They're having memories of different timelines. It's a fascinating idea.
Let's follow up with Gail, who says, going back in time doesn't mean the traveler has to interact with people. Couldn't it be used for historical research?
Yes. I really like that idea. There was a Star Trek episode that I reviewed fairly recently where the crew of the Enterprise, that's what they were doing. They go back to 1966 or something, and they're just there to observe. I think they're trying to find it. It was a difficult period in American history or something. I think it was sort of when the nuclear powers there was lots of tensions, and I think some of it is fictionalized, but they go back in time just to observe how Earth kind of got past all of that. And it was a really interesting take on time travel. You're not going back to change anything or to interfere. You're just going back to do some research. I mean, it's a bit risky, and one of the problems with this particular episode is that would the Enterprise have done that? Would they have gone back in time and potentially and risked damaging the timeline just to do some historical research? Probably not. But it depends. I mean, this is a whole starship. But if it's sort of one person going back in time and slotting themselves in to the environment, dressing the way we would have back then. And this is the problem with the time traveling hipster, and the reason that's been widely debunked. If that's a time traveler, what on earth is he doing? standing out like a sore thumb, not dressing like anybody who's there. So, and a time traveler wouldn't do that. They would be very careful about it, and they would make sure that they fit in. So that's the reason that time travel could be happening all around us, and we don't know, because these people are just here watching us. They're not doing anything, and they fit in perfectly with their environment. They're not drawing attention to themselves. This is the problem with all these YouTube posters, is that why are they coming out and admitting all this stuff? Surely they are doing damage to the timeline. I mean, they say that they've come back to repair the timeline, and then of course you get that's how they get around the fact that their predictions aren't coming true, because they're making these predictions, or they're saying these things in order to prevent certain things from happening, and then when these things don't happen, they're then like, oh, it worked. But yeah, I don't buy many of those claims. But yeah, the potential for time travelers actually being here just for observation and historical research, as long as they're doing it very carefully, is a very real possibility.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a couple people out there right now who are saying that they can't believe that you write about time travel and hadn't heard about the Mandela effect yet.
No, I know. I feel like that's a big one that I've got to look into and work into I've been looking for new ideas for some more short stories set in the Million Eyes world, and this could link in really nicely, because these temporal sensitives, as I'm calling them, this character I mentioned as being one, they play an important part much later on in the trilogy. So I might try and work in some of these particular cases. It's really interesting.
We got about 5.5 minutes before we're going to go to break at the top of the hour. Author C.R. Barry is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, talking time travel. Do you believe that time travel also includes going into outer space and seeing how far we can travel? Because, we hear all the time scientists, when they look out in space, they're trying to find the existence of the Big Bang. They say time slows down. You're able to still see history way back when. Could we call that time travel as well, if we were to head out?
Well, it here we're getting into the sciencey stuff. It depends. Do you mean traveling the stars and then using space travel as a means to travel in time, or how do you mean?
Sure, why not? Let's go there.
Well, I mean, faster than light travel is one of the things that scientists are working on, I believe, as a potential means of traveling in time. Or it's also something to do with black holes, and that could be our potential means of going back in time. As I say, I think scientists are saying that time travel to the future is impossible because the future hasn't happened yet, or something. But time travel to the past could happen, is I think the consensus. We don't know that it's going to be a real possibility, but I think once we have faster, because I do believe that we will have faster than light travel one day. We certainly have an urge to explore the universe, and I think that's quite a powerful urge, and I think we will keep developing better and better technology to travel beyond our solar system. At the moment, it takes far too long to get anywhere. And I think once we've broken down those barriers, there's very real potential for exploring time travel.
I got to ask you, in regards to it, where do you see, in regards to time travel, the idea of time skips or parallel dimensions or portals to different universes?
Yeah, I suppose this is this idea that everything that could happen does happen in a parallel universe, and I think because there are slightly different interpretations of time travel, and I'll give one example. So in Star Trek, the way time travel works is generally if they go back in time and change something, they generally then have to repair it because the timeline they came from has been changed. So that's generally how it works. But in the 2009 movie, the central villain goes back in time, changes the timeline, changes the future entirely. But the argument made in that film, and this is what the writers of the film have said that they were trying to do, is that when they change time, they don't completely delete the future that they came from. They've just created a new parallel universe, a new alternate reality, which is not how time travel has been depicted in Star Trek in the past. But they say that as a way of getting around the fact that they are now following a totally new tangent, a totally new timeline, and everything else we saw in Star Trek, all the other series, all the other films, they are in a separate universe, a separate timeline. But that's really not how time travel worked in Star Trek before, and that's not really what I do in my own writing. If a character goes back in time and changes something, then the future that they've come from, that's changed, and that needs to be repaired. I don't necessarily deal with the idea that there are parallel universes, but yeah. So I think it's so interesting. There's so many different ways of handling and dealing with time travel.
Well, we only got about a minute left here, or 2 minutes left before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. Our guest tonight, C.R. Barry. I tend to think that there might be something to these parallel universes and time travel. And I'll tell you why. And hopefully I have enough time here, as we got about a minute and a bit. We were on a ghost tour last year, and we were walking along the old Gold Rush Trail. Right here, just about a mile, less than a mile from my house. And the Gold Rush Trail obviously started off in California and then made its way up through my area in British Columbia and then right up to Alaska and the Yukon, during the mid-1800s when the gold rush happened.
Yeah.
Anyways, we come across this pair of ghosts. There was 9 of us investigating that night. And we come across these 2 ghosts on the path. We find out that they were Chinese, and they were heading up north to a town called Barkerville. And in our communication with them, after about 10 minutes, we said goodnight to them. Told them to keep going down the hill, that there was a post house, which would be like a hostel just down the road. And they weren't moving. We said goodnight. We were all chatting, and all of our machinery kept going off and signaling that they were still there. Then we realized that they were having they had a trailer and a horse and carriage behind them. And I'll finish the story right after the break. C.R. Barry, we got him for another half an hour here on Spaced Out Radio, talking time travel. We also got, in hour 3, the SOR News Wire and the Thought of the Dave. Lots coming up in Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio right after this.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docuseries featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and Bigfoot in the forest. Truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Richard Dolan, as well as others all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot THAL, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
We're underway in the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Hi to everyone listening in on WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas, UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, and down in Ridgecrest, California, we are on KZFX 93.7 FM. Translation for the American audience, KZFX 93.7 FM. Hi to everyone listening in on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Great to have you with us. Don't forget, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Palimbacius. Palimbacius is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. You can sign up for the SOR Space Travelers Club. It's only $5 a month. You can do a little shopping at our store called the SOR Vault. Go shopping for books on We Read the Night and read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. We'd greatly appreciate that if you don't mind. C.R. Barry is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. If you want to check out his website, and I highly suggest you do, it's crbarryauthor.wordpress.com. He's got a great series coming out in January called Million Eyes. You want to get that. You definitely want to get that when it comes on out. Maybe we'll put that on our Amazon page as well. CR, welcome back to the show.
Hello, hello.
Now, right before the break, I was telling you a little ghost story. So we run into this Chinese couple and we realize they aren't moving. And we then found out that they had horse and buggy with them.
Yeah.
So we moved out of the way, and they started going down the path. Now, what tripped me out about this story a little bit is the fact, and it to this day, I mean, this happened a year ago, and to this day, I'm still kind of baffled by it. They were on their trip heading north.
Yeah.
How do we know that we didn't intercept their timeline and we were the ghosts to them?
Yeah. I mean, that's fascinating, because these kinds of cases have happened before. A very similar one that comes to mind is the ghosts of Versailles. Have you heard of that? It's sometimes the Mobley and Jourdain incident, and it's a similar thing where these two women, they took a trip to the Palace of Versailles in France in the beginning of the 20th century, and they were sort of wandering around the gardens, and then they came across a load of people that looked very official and dressed very formally, dressed very old-fashioned, and they wondered what was going on. They thought maybe they'd stumbled onto a party of some sort. They carried on wandering through, and they passed a man who seemed to be in period dress, and he was sitting near a garden kiosk. And then they saw a woman sketching on the grass in a summer dress. And again, they described the way she was dressed as old-fashioned. And they then they carried on, and then they got to where they were expecting to be. And then they, in the years that followed, they retraced their steps through the gardens. They were obviously quite perturbed by these people that they'd come across, particularly as they thought that maybe there was a party or something going on, but nothing had been booked, and they couldn't find any evidence that anything was happening in the area. So they went back, and they then couldn't find certain landmarks that they'd stumbled upon. So there was a bridge they walked across, and this garden kiosk that they found that wasn't there anymore. And then one of them saw a portrait of Marie Antoinette and became convinced that this was the woman that they'd seen sketching on the grass. And they became convinced that they at the time, like you said with your story, that they thought that these people they'd seen were ghosts. And they'd seen the ghost of Marie Antoinette. However, other people have looked at this case and thought, well, maybe they weren't ghosts. Maybe these two women slipped back in time to the 18th century, I believe. So it was shortly before the French Revolution, and that's when Marie Antoinette was executed. And it was the two timelines intersecting. So either Marie Antoinette and her lot slipped forwards in time to the 20th century, or these two women, Mobley and Jourdain, they slipped back. Either way, it's probably the most famous time slip case. It is fascinating, and it's still a bit unclear as to whether it really happened or not, because these were two reputable, intelligent women, people have sort of argued, well, I really don't think that they would make this up. There's obviously the possibility that perhaps they had some kind of shared delusion. There's also the possibility that there was a party going on or some kind of fancy dress or reenactment happening, but then there was nothing, there was no evidence that anything was actually happening that day. So it's that's a bit of a confusing one. I'm not sure where I sit on that one. But yeah, it's fascinating.
All right, let's move on here. Gail has a question, and she is asking, do you believe remote viewing is satisfactory as traveling in the flesh?
Remote viewing? What, as in looking through some kind of portal to the past?
Using your mind to travel elsewhere.
Ah, okay. So that's sort of your consciousness time traveling. Well, as to whether that would ever be possible, I don't know. That's we've seen that in quite a lot of science fiction. Actually, that happens in Lost. There's one of the main characters in Lost. His consciousness travels back to his body in the past. And yeah, so that's quite interesting the way they handle that. And then there's a series on Netflix that I highly recommend. Actually, it's called Travelers, and that's a similar kind of thing. It's people in the future traveling. Their consciousness is transferred back in time into the bodies of people that are about to die, and they take over these people's bodies because they weren't part of the timeline after that point anyway, and they use these bodies as a way of changing events because they've come from a very disastrous future. So, but in that series, that's the only way you can time travel. You can't physically send anything back in time. You have to only send your consciousness. So,
well, sticking with consciousness, what about premonitions?
Premonitions. So that's a really interesting one. This idea of whether you can see the future or not, that's another one that, because I'm a skeptic, and it takes a lot for me to believe something. I have to have real evidence to believe something, but there's some very strange cases out there that have really stumped me. And one of them is a story about a 10-year-old girl called Earl May Jones. She features in Million Eyes Extra Time. One of the short stories is called Earl May's Dream. And it was in the 60s, 20th of October, 1966. She told her mother one morning that she had a dream, that she went to school and there was no school there, because something black had come down all over it. And she said other strange things to her mother about not being afraid to die, and if she dies, she'll be with Peter and June. These were two of her friends at school. And then the next day, 150,000 cubic meters of coal waste and debris and slurry. It was all perched at the top of a hill above the village of Aberfan in Wales. It all broke away and it cascaded down the hill, and it smashed into the side of Earl May Jones's primary school, and it destroyed the school, and it killed her, and it killed 115 of her fellow school children, and there were 28 adults that were killed as well. And her friends Peter and June, they were also killed, and I believe that she's buried with them. There was a mass grave because there were so many people that died there. And so the question is, did she foresee her own death? Was that dream a premonition? And it's a really interesting question. I think her parents have swear by the fact that this took place, and this their daughter actually did say this. And then there's been others, very similar ones. That there's quite a few people that are said to have predicted 9/11. There was one story that I wrote about that was a guy called Lawrence Bousseau, and he was an employee of the World Trade Center, and he had a dream at the beginning of September that about the Twin Towers crashing around him, and apparently his wife had the same dream or a similar dream about Manhattan being filled with debris. And he didn't think much of it. It was just a dream. But then he obviously went to work on September the 11th, and he died in the building. Well, I think he was trying to rescue some children at the time. So again, very, very strange, very weird. But I think the one that really got it for me was Dennis Quaid and his wife. This was back in 2007. They went to hospital. They had infections, bacterial infections or something. And it was their twins that were, sorry, not them. Their twins were sent into hospital. They had infections. They were only 12 days old. And while they were in the hospital, Kimberly, this is Dennis Quaid's wife. I don't know if they're still married, but it's his wife at the time. She had a dream, and she had this horrible feeling that the babies were passing. This is what she said. She said she felt like the babies were passing. So the babies were in hospital at this point. They'd gone back home. And Dennis Quaid then phones the hospital, and he's told that the babies are fine, but he asks someone to go and check on them. And when this person goes to check on them, they're both found fighting for their lives because they've been given an overdose of an anti-clotting drug. It was an accident. But they then spent 11 days in intensive care after that. They pulled through, but it was only because they'd been checked on, and it was only because Kimberly had this dream. So, they had sat at home knowing nothing about what's going on at the hospital. So, my God, that's so weird. That's so strange. So, did she have a premonition? I mean, it certainly seems that way. How else could she have known? And it's the same with all these cases. So I think with the Earl May Jones story, I took that one in particular, and Earl May's dream is set in 1966, and it centres on the Aberfan disaster, and it suggests that perhaps premonitions are a result of time travel. And the mysterious group of time travelers that are the centre of the story, they are messing about with our timeline. They're doing what they need to do, which you find out a bit more about why they're doing what they're doing as the stories go along and as the books go along. But perhaps a side effect of what they're doing, a side effect of all their time travelling, is that they are leaving, they're causing people to become sensitive to what they're doing, and this sensitivity is taking the form of premonitions in some people. So yeah, I do love that idea, and it's one that's kind of stuck with me. It's one of those ones that I really can't make head nor tail of it.
Wouldn't that type of premonition, as you've mentioned, be like traveling into the future?
Yes, actually, it could be, from what we were talking about before. Perhaps these people's consciousness in dreams, because it seemed, because all those cases I just mentioned, they were dreams. So perhaps in those dreams, their consciousness is traveling to the future. And again, is it just a slip in time? Is it just it's just like a natural phenomenon, or almost, that timelines are intersecting, and people's consciousness are being pulled to the future, sort of momentarily, and then slipping back again. I don't know. It's possible. I can't think of many explanations for it. It's one of those things, like, because while I'm a skeptic and I need evidence before I believe in something, I like to think that I'm open-minded, and I appreciate that not everything in this world is easily explained. I think most things are, but there are things that happen that are like, really? Like, how? Like, that's a extraordinary coincidence. Or that, I mean, I just cannot explain that. So yeah, and I think these premonition stories are one of them.
CR, we only got about 3.5 minutes left with you tonight, and I want to say thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Do us a favor. Let's talk a little bit about Million Eyes once again. What's going on there?
Right. So as I said at the start, Million Eyes, the novel, the first novel in the trilogy, which is just called Million Eyes, that is coming out in January. The ebook is coming out in January. The paperback is coming out in March. I think it's January the 10th is the release date. However, there is a short story collection called Million Eyes Extra Time. That is available now. It's literally just come out. I'm announcing it tonight. It's available on Elsewhen Press's website. So Elsewhen Press are the publisher of the short story collection and of the novel trilogy. So you can find there's a series page for Million Eyes, which you can get information about the series as a whole, and the trilogy that's coming out, and that's where you can. There's a link to the short story collection, and then you can download it on all ebook platforms. And it's completely free. So if you want to find out a bit more about the Million Eyes universe, read about some conspiracy theories that have all been tied together into the overarching plot, and there's lots in there. There's the JFK's assassination, Marilyn Monroe's death, the Loch Ness Monster, the conspiracy theory about Paul McCartney having died and being replaced with a lookalike. That's in there as well. There's lots of really fun stuff, and it's all tied together into this overarching conspiracy featuring these mysterious time travelers that are part of a very powerful organization, hiding in plain sight. And they are messing about with the timeline for their own ends. And the short story collection, Million Eyes Extra Time, and the novel trilogy, they focus on characters that happen upon what they're doing and try and find more about what their motives are. So Million Eyes Extra Time, that's available now for free download. Just go to Elsewhen Press's website, and it's there, all ebook platforms. So
you got to be excited about that.
I'm very excited about that. It's been, as I say, that Million Eyes has been a really long journey. These particular short stories, I have been published. I think 9 of them are previously published, and 3 of them are brand new. And I've been publishing them in various places going back to about 2014, I think. And Million Eyes, the novel itself, as I said at the start, that's been a decade in the works, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a long journey, and I was so pleased when Elsewhen Press picked it up and published it. Yeah, it's been great. It's been brilliant.
CR, I want to say thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. And, we got to make sure that we do this a little bit more frequent than just 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Day. Stay tuned. Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother Is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, BUMBLEFOOT.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
We're bringing you something new to the documentary world. Beyond the Spectrum will take you on an historic tour of topics like no other: Sasquatch, UFOs, government secrecy, and more, keeping you on the edge of your seats through the eyes of legendary truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Richard Dolan, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and Jack Kasher. Head on over to Amazon Prime or Tubi TV and check us out. Please leave a comment for the filmmakers on their film's Amazon page.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Themer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Good to have you along with us. Reminder to all of you, our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.co right now. It'll be back to the .com probably by this weekend. But there. Oh, it looks good. It looks real good. You can do a little shopping in our brand new SOR Vault store. Sign up for the SOR Space Travelers Club. We read the night. If there's a book there that you want, you can get it right there. And, of course, reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR News Wire. Now, speaking of the news, I know the Cogster likes this, so let's get to it. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR News Wire at the back end of every show. We'll get to the weird, the strange, those odd occurrences that can scare the daylights out of you. Everything can be found on our website. Let's start off in Illinois, where a family said they returned home to find a wheel that had been accidentally dropped by a helicopter in a midair crash through the roof of their home. Linda Taylor Witt said she and her family had just returned to their Linwood home from eating out Saturday night when her daughter went upstairs to use the bathroom and found the wheel had crashed right through the roof and was lodged in the ceiling. I didn't know what kind of wheel it was at first, she says. I guess it was an airplane wheel. Hysteria went through me. Taylor Witt contacted the police, who in turn called the local fire chief to come look at the unusual scene. And then they couldn't believe what they were seeing. It was like I've never seen this in my life, the fire chief said. I've been a fireman for 40-some years. Taylor Witt said she received a call Monday from the owners of Summer Skies, Inc., a flight school that operates a helicopter at the nearby Lansing Airport. They were taking responsibility for it, and whatever needs to be done, they would take care of it, Taylor Witt said. The owners told her the wheel was from a piece of machinery used to move helicopters between airport hangars and somehow stayed attached to the aerial vehicle before falling off above her home. My goodness, could you imagine if you were using the washroom at that time when that wheel came crashing through? You would have been in the proper place. Totally would have been in the proper place for that. The FBI has confirmed an imprisoned murderer who confessed to 93 murders over 4 decades is the most prolific serial killer in U.S. history. Something tells me that isn't a title that you want. Police have matched Samuel Little, 79 years old, to 50 cases between 1970 and 2005 thus far. He is serving a life prison sentence since 2012 for the murders of 3 women. Little targeted vulnerable individuals, mostly black women, many of whom were sex workers or drug users, officials say. A former competitive boxer, Little would knock his victims out with punches before strangling them, meaning that they were not always obvious signs that the person had been brutally murdered. Some of these deaths were never investigated by the FBI as a result, and many deaths were incorrectly determined to be overdoses or accidental. Some bodies have never been found, the agency says. In a statement, the FBI says its analysts believe all of his confessions are credible. For many years, Samuel Little believed he would not be caught because he thought no one was accounting for his victims, FBI crime analyst Christy Palazzolo said. Even though he is already in prison, the FBI believes it is important to seek justice for each victim to close every case possible. So far, they're waiting to verify the remaining 43 cases he has confessed to. That's an evil, evil man. Evil man. Don't like that. You might not know the name David Fravor. Around these parts, you probably do. But you probably know what he saw, even though he's still not sure what it was he saw. The former U.S. Navy commander, who in 2017 told the New York Times that he spotted a tic-tac-shaped UFO from his FA-18 Super Hornet cockpit, around 40 feet long and oval shape, 100 miles off the coast of San Diego in 2004. Of course, there is video footage of that. Well, last month, the UFO video made headlines once more when the Navy confirmed it was real, thanks to John Greenwald from The Black Vault. The clip indeed showed unexplained aerial phenomena, but the service said 2 other videos should have never been released to the public in the first place. So Fravor has begun the requisite publicity tour. In an interview with Joe Rogan on his podcast, he recounted his sighting from 15 years ago, but also revealed a new story from a Navy helicopter pilot who reached out with his own strange, creepy tale on the job. Apparently, back in the 90s, this pilot's job was to fetch BQM aerial target drones and submarine telemetry torpedoes from the ocean. At the time, the pilot was flying a CH-53, a big heavy lifting helicopter the Marine Corps uses for certain things. Fravor told Rogan off the East Coast they do a lot of shooting. At the time, it was off Puerto Rico. The helo drops a swimmer in the water. He hooks the whole thing up. Then they fly back up. The first time they were out there, they were going to pick up a BQM. He's sitting in the front of the CH-53. You can see down below your feet, and he's looking down. They're 50 feet above the water, and he sees this dark mass coming up from the depths. As the pilot quickly picked up the BQM, he was apparently at a loss for words. He's looking at this thing going, what the hell is that? And then it just then goes deep down into the water again. Once they pull the kid and the BQM out of the water, the object descends back to its depths. 1 dark mass coming up from the depths is weird enough. 2 is officially cause for concern. A few months later, the helicopter pilot saw the exact same thing. Now, the helicopter pilot swears the torpedo didn't sink, as per Fravor, and the pilot even told everybody back then in his incident in 2017, but the paper never reported it. We were guessing the editors would reconsider today. You know what I'm thinking that is? That's Megalodon, man. I'm going out on a limb. That is Megalodon. It's not a UFO. It's Megalodon. Come on, let us believe it's out there. Oh, it's out there. It was going to eat that diver. Tuesday morning, Boeing announced that it intends to invest $20 million in Virgin Galactic, the space tourism company founded by Richard Branson. Virgin Galactic is currently in the process of finalizing an $800 million deal to merge with social capital Heidos Sophia, which will result in it becoming a publicly traded company. That's expected to happen before the end of 2019. Wonder if he asked the TTSA about this, because they want to build a spaceship. Boeing's investment will come as a result of buying shares in a publicly traded entity. In a statement, the two companies hinted that they would be working on projects together, but only said that information about them would be shared in the future. Both companies are readying to put humans in space within the next few months. Virgin Galactic has successfully taken astronauts into suborbital space and is preparing for its first commercial flights. In August, the company revealed the interiors of the new spaceport. Yeah, to date, the company has sold 603 tickets to fly on its spacecraft and said it will resume selling tickets once it's begun commercial operations. Boeing, in the meantime, is currently working on its Starliner crewed capsule, which it's developing under a contract with NASA. Once completed, the capsule is intended to take astronauts to the International Space Station, ending the space agency's reliance on Russian spacecraft to ferry astronauts back and forth. Well, this guy's got a temperament. Video released today shows a Florida store owner firing an AK-47 to shoot an unarmed customer after a verbal dispute on Christmas Eve 2017. Saf Hamad, the owner of Quick Pick convenience store in Lauderhill, Florida, was arrested in December 2017 on a charge of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon after shooting Jason Morris. The store owner claimed that he had fired the AK-47 in self-defense after Morris got into his car and threw something, later identified as a bottle of castor oil at the store. Ahmad's next hearing is set for November 1st. Surveillance video from inside and outside the store, released by the store's owner's attorney, show the confirmation and the moment Ahmad fired the gun. Morris is seen on the video getting into a verbal disagreement with a store employee and kicking over a large trash can into the store before exiting. He then threw another trash can from outside the store before he got into his car. Morris drove in circles in the parking lot, left the video's frame, and then came back to throw something more at the store. This guy's got an anger management issue. Ahmad then is seen running out of his Quickie Mart with an AK-47 and shooting Morris in the back with a military-style weapon as Morris drove away, causing Morris to suffer permanent disability. In other video footage directed at the store's front door, two other employees can be seen with handguns as well. Now, Morris claimed that he went to the store on Christmas Eve to complain about a previous incident in which his friend was beaten outside the Quick Pick. Morris said he told the employees about the alleged illegal activities at the store and that the customers had been threatened with violence. Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. Well, they're advertising as being dangerously cheesy. If you haven't tried them, they're actually pretty good. These Flaming Hot Cheetos, I tried them earlier today. Oh, they're good. They're real good. Well, a woman uploaded a video on Twitter of the time she claims a Transportation Security Administration agent stopped her because of the many bags of Flaming Hot Cheetos she had in her carry-on bag. Emily May, who goes by Emily Gould on social media, wrote that she was carrying like 20 bags of hot Cheetos with her on a trip to Korea for her friends that live in the country, as a snack is hard to find there. However, due to the security check, it seemed a little bit suspicious. We'll never forget the day TSA stopped me because they thought I was hiding crap inside my bag, because all I had was like 20 bags of hot Cheetos, she wrote on Twitter. In the video May uploaded, it shows TSA agents pulling bags of these spicy chips out of a woman's Louis Vuitton carry-on and wiping them down before placing them into her right. About 7 bags are seen resting on the table next to the TSA agent. Tweet went viral, receiving over 1.6 million views and hundreds of comments of people sharing their own experiences trying to bring bulk food items through airport security. Well, why not just put them in your luggage rather than in your carry-on? It's like you're only trying to cause trouble. Though food is allowed, it may be subject to additional search, especially if the materials clutter bags and obstruct clear images on the X-ray machine, according to the TSA website. So in other words, don't go bulk on the hot Cheetos. Just put them in your suitcase. It's not like they're going to break anything anyways. They're harder than lava rock. Finally tonight, authorities say a Pennsylvania owner who heard someone singing inside his home found a naked man drinking milk in his kitchen. Erie police say the homeowner heard the singing around 3 a.m. Monday morning. He grabbed his pistol, went to investigate, and soon found the man sitting on the kitchen floor. The homeowner called police, and the man was taken into custody. It wasn't clear how he entered the home or how long he had been in the residence. No injuries were reported. Not even sure if they actually found his clothes. The man's name wasn't released. Authorities have not filed any charges against him so far, but they say the investigation is ongoing. Well, how can it be ongoing? The dude broke into the house and he was naked drinking the milk. How much more conclusivity do you need there? I don't get it. I don't get it. Who drinks milk in the buff? I don't even like milk. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we post a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages and read your responses on the air, because we love our audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. What is the best peak woo story you've heard? Oh, there's a number of them. Start off with John on Twitter. My friend found a huge old plantation house driving in the south. They pull over, go inside, and have a few odd experiences, but nothing harmful. They leave and go to the next nearest town. Everyone is nice till they ask about the house. Doors all of a sudden start slamming in their faces. They drive back. There's no house. That is good. That is eerie. That is completely eerie. I would love to hear more about that story. Steve on Twitter. What's the best peak woo story I've heard? The To the Stars Academy. Boom. Ouch. Guess he's not a fan of Sweet Tommy D and the boys. Andreas. Still think that's a fake picture, Andreas. I'm not sure about this peak woo fellow, but I've heard some good ones about underground bases that hold dolphin extraterrestrials. Took quite the beating, apparently. Dolphin extraterrestrial. That is solid woo. Solid woo. Right there. Some people out there right now like kind of going, what the heck is woo? No, we're not talking Ric Flair. That's the ultimate woo. 16-time world champion. He'll let you know, too. But we're talking wild, zany stories. Michael says, can we pick more than one? And then he posts some pictures of David Wilcock and Corey Good. I've never interviewed either of them, never met them, never talked with them. I haven't had good communication with them at all. Never really tried. But I got to say, David Wilcock has a big forehead. Very, very big. That's a 5 head. Let's just be honest. He's got a 5 head. Never mind the work, controversial or whatever. He's got a big 5 head. All right. Chip's Coffee. Biggest woo? Catholic Mass. Oh, you're not going to win the fans over like that, Chip. Not going to win the fans over like that. Lone Wolf. There's an urban legend here in Michigan that an abandoned building somewhere in the state, several versions of the story exist, none can agree on the location, is actually a doorway to a dimension outside our reality. It's called Blue Hell, after a video game glitch. Nathan. At this stage of the game, it's hard to tell apart. The Skinwalker Ranch saga, just taken at face value, sounds absolutely freaky insane. Matthew. Mel's Hole. The best peak woo story that I've heard is Mel's Hole. It got more and more woo as the story progressed. The seal creature living inside a sheep made for a great woo story. That's the kind of woo we're talking about right there. Stephen. Oh, he doesn't like the TTSA either. He says, biggest peak woo? TTSA telling the truth. Ouch. Ouch. Serena. I live peak woo. Regular, as in daily communication with spirit guides, my animals, and multi-dimensional beings. Catherine, shameless plug, says, we do have a fantastic Peak Woo t-shirt in the Spaced Out Radio store, the SOR Vault, on our website. That's a good plug right there. Gabe, not much that could beat Mel's Hole. Renee, my favorite was Streetlight Mike. Oh my God, I wish he could have seen Dave on video. Or she could have seen me on video. It would have been amazing to see Dave's reactions. Oh, and the vampire guy. Both were on SOR. Then Richie G had Streetlight Mike on his show. It was hilarious. By the way, he's still pressing MUFON for that, by the way. He just sent me an update. I don't know why. Kelly, our Keith Andrews eating a Draco liver with a side of farva beans and a nice glass of black woo. Black goo. I read that wrong. Final word goes to Kevin. A story about a large Russian drilling site into the Antarctic, ice deep down into a huge freshwater lake that had been sealed off from sunlight for 20 million years. The location is near Lake Vostok, and once they descended to this subterranean lake, they were greeted by 46B, a 40-foot-long, 14-tentacle squid-like creature that could change its shape and release a toxin into the water to disable its prey from over 100 feet away. The creature was said to have killed some of their crew members and was eventually captured and taken by Russian authorities to Moscow. Yeah, they put it right in the gulag. Thanks to everybody for taking part in the Thought of the Dave. We'll do it again tomorrow on Twitter and Facebook. Thanks, Captain Shirk, for the great news tonight. And, of course, C.R. Barry. We're talking time travel. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, in our chat rooms on Spreaker, Revolution Radio, the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook, or on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio, wherever you may be. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a good night, everybody. We're going to do it all again tomorrow. I want to see you here. I'll be here for you. These 5 words, I swear to you. Have a good night.